Good day, good people. Today I'm going to create a new AngularJS app using .NET New and then upgrade the version of bootstrap.js that it ships with to the latest, which is version 4.1. I'm then going to reskin the app with this dashboard theme from getbootstrap.com, which you can find by going to the default Bootstrap site, examples, and then this dashboard example. All right, so let's get started. We'll come over to Commander. We will say .NET New Angular -o net core Angular, and that's going to go ahead and create that directory for us and create our default setup. So then we will cd into that new directory. We will look for the client app folder and then cd into that. So, and then we will type npm install to install the dependencies in the package.json file. Okay, now that that's done, we can cd back up a directory and type code dot to open up our project in Visual Studio Code. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is open up my integrated terminal and then cd back into the client app directory. Visual Studio will prompt you to add some required assets if they're missing, so just say yes. And that should add this VS Code folder with launch.json and tasks.json. All right, if we go ahead and browse into the client app folder and look at the package.json file, we can see that currently we are using Bootstrap 3.3.7. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this to see what it looks like. Okay, here's our default setup using Bootstrap 3.3.7, and we can see that we have a home component, our counter component, and our fetch data component. So looking over at this dashboard template, we can see that we will need to add a header component because this default one doesn't have one of those. And then we will examine the HTML here to refit it into this theme. So before we do that, let's go ahead and update Bootstrap to the latest version. So we'll come back over to our client app folder, go to the terminal, and type npm install bootstrap at latest. Okay, so now that that's done, we can see that the Bootstrap version was updated in our package.json file, and if we do a global search for Bootstrap, all the places that reference it in the app are now referring to version 4.1. So if we go back and look at the app now, it should be, okay, I have this error because I stopped the server, so I'm just going to go ahead and start it again. All right, as you can see, our layout is now all messed up, and we need to extract the HTML from this page and add it to our Angular app. Okay, so coming over to this page, we can right-click on it and inspect the HTML. We can see that the HTML consists of a nav bar for the header, a container, a row, a navigation area on the left there, and then the main area. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab this left side, copy it, bring it back over into our app. I'm going to zoom out just a moment and go into the source app nav menu folder. I will come here, paste this HTML here, and comment this stuff out because we're going to use that in just a moment to update the links. So as I save that, it should refresh it for me over here. Okay. Okay, the next thing we can do is come back over here to the dashboard template and look for the main area. Edit the HTML, Control A, copy, come back over to our app and go to the home component and replace what's in there with this HTML. And we'll go ahead and remove this canvas because we're not going to add that. Okay, so we come back out and look at our progress. We see this has been added, but the layout is still very messed up. So we can come back over here and see that these two elements here have this class on them. But in Angular, whenever the component's rendered, it renders the actual the name of the component. So if we look over here, we can see app nav menu. So we're just going to transfer the CSS from this guy to the right place so it cascades down the page correctly. So to do that, we come over to our app component.html. And add this HTML. So I've actually moved from this nav component here. I've taken this class and added it directly to the component declaration in app component.html. So if we look back at our app, we can see we made a little bit of progress on the left there, but still not quite there. So come back over to your app, go to your home component, and this time we're going to remove this class from this location and add it via something called a host binding. So we're going to go ahead and include host binding here. And add this TypeScript that will basically add this class to the actual component node in the HTML, and hit save. Go ahead and save all. Okay, so if we come back over here and examine our HTML, we can see we have our app component that has the right class, and we have our nav component that has the right class. Okay, we've made a little bit more progress. We're starting to look close to what we're going for. So now it's time to add a header component. Okay, we'll come back over to our app, and I've added a default header component that consists of a header.component.css, a header.component.html, and a header.component.typescript. So we can come back over to our dashboard template, right-click on this HTML, edit, Control-A, copy, and paste it back into our header component. So the next thing we need to do is add our header component to app.module.ts. All right, we can go ahead and import it. And then come back over to our app.component.html and add the app header element. So now if we save and refresh, it should be a brand new header. Okay, we're making some progress now, but we're still missing some styles that we can get from this default template here. So if we come back to the Bootstrap site and go to the Sources tab, go to dashboard.css, Control-A, copy, come back over into our Angular app, and find the styles.css file. So we'll go ahead and paste that in there. Go back and take a look at our app. All right, a little bit more progress. So now we can actually take the part of this CSS that refers to the header and put that in the header.css file. And now, I think we're close to have it. So as the last part of this tutorial, we will come over to the navigation.html and correct the links. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the dashboard, get rid of products, customers, leave reports, and we can grab the first link here, come here, convert over the classes, don't really need the active, and this SVG inside the anchor tag. Control KD. Okay, I'm going to do the rest and pause the video because it's the exact same thing 2 more times. Okay, now we can save, refresh our app, And I actually don't want this blue because that's part of the default template, so we can come back over to the, let's see, this stuff and just get rid of the CSS in the nav menu component.css. It'll refresh itself. All right, now we have, actually we're almost there. There's one more thing we need to do, which is add the host binding CSS to the containers for each of these components so that it fits within this frame here. So there's probably more than one way to do this, but I am just going to use the host binding again in each component. Let's see, that's not the right file. And we can just paste that in there, save, add host binding, paste, save. Okay, and that should do it. So there's our counter component, the fetch data component, the dashboard. Okay guys, that should do it. I have added a list here of the things that we accomplished, and you can download these files off GitHub, the link to which I will leave in the description of the video. Thanks a lot for watching.